Now we will discuss errors in testing of hypothesis. When a statistical hypothesis is tested, there are only two results. Either we accept the null hypothesis or we reject the null hypothesis. Okay, we never know whether this hypothesis is true or false. Hence, there may be four possibilities. That is, we assume a null hypothesis H0, then an alternate hypothesis which is HA. So, after doing a test or after finding out a test statistics and after keeping all the level of significance, critical region and all, so that hypothesis, this null hypothesis, we may accept or reject. So the possibilities or the mistakes what we do sometimes is a true hypothesis. Sometimes the hypothesis may be true and we may reject that one. Okay, a true hypothesis may be rejected. Then second one is a true hypothesis is accepted, which is true, which is correct decision. Third is a false hypothesis is rejected. That is also true, means if the hypothesis is true, then we may reject that one, we will reject that, that is correct decision. And the fourth one is a false hypothesis, but we accept that. So these are the four kinds of mistakes we may do while doing a testing. Okay, so in short, in simple sentence, if I say, that is, while doing a testing, some decisions we take. So that decision is like this: we accept H0 and we reject H0. H0 means the null hypothesis. We accept the null hypothesis and H0 is true. H0 is true. We accept that one. Then obviously it is a very correct decision. Okay, means H0 is true and we accept that one, means we are accepting a true thing. So obviously that is correct decision. Now H0 is true and you are rejecting that one, means the fact is true and you are rejecting a true factor, means you are creating a type 1 error. That is called as type 1 error. That means rejecting a true hypothesis, that is type 1 error. Okay, now the second case is H0 is false and you accept that H0, a false thing, we are accepting a false thing, then this will be type 2 error. Okay, and H0 is false and you reject H0, this is again correct decision. So hope you understood the concept of type 1 and 2 error. That means H0 is true, you accept H0, which is correct decision, then no problem at all. Now second is H0 is true and you reject a true fact, you are creating type 1 error there. Now H0 is false, wrong thing, you are accepting a wrong thing, means you are creating type 2 error there. And H0 is false, reject H0, you are doing a correct decision. Means for example, in so many cases, suppose the use of mobile, you know use of mobile is wrong, but you are doing the same thing, means what you are doing, which type of error you are doing, type 2 error you are doing. Okay, and similarly H0 is true and you reject that H0, that is type 1 error. So this is errors while doing a testing of hypothesis. Now to test a hypothesis, we may need to define certain things. So while testing hypothesis, we have 3-4 steps are there. That is, so to test hypothesis, what all steps to follow? What are the steps to follow while doing a testing? Okay, the first step is state the null hypothesis. State the null hypothesis at 0 and state the alternate hypothesis. This alternate hypothesis can be otherwise called as alternative hypothesis. Okay, alternate hypothesis, we normally write this by HA. Now, second one is you need to calculate the test statistic. Calculate the test statistic. Now, while calculating the test statistic, again we need to follow certain things that I will discuss in the next lecture. So, that is second one. Then third one is define or set up level of significance, that is alpha. This is, that is, say 10% level of significance or 5% level of significance. That level of significance you need to set up, and if it is not given in the question, we need to assume it as either 10%, 5% or 1%, depending on the question and depending on your availability of the table and all, you can define that one. Okay, but it should not be more than 10%. It's an ideal case is it always 5% level of significance, that would be ideal to take. Okay, then correspondingly the table values, that is critical values also you need to find out. From the tables you will get the critical value corresponding to the level of significance. So, level of significance means probability that a random value of a statistic will lie in the critical region, means this value what you are going to calculate the test statistic where it will lie, and depending on that place where it lies, you can accept or reject the hypothesis. Okay, then fourth one is then table value. Critical value is the fourth one. Then you can find, third one is critical value. Then decision. Decision means depending on this critical values, you will decide whether we need to accept or reject. And fifth one is conclusion. So these are the steps to do while testing a hypothesis. Means you need to state the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, then calculate the test statistics, which will be explained in the next lecture, then set up level of significance and find the critical values, then decision you need to take depending on this calculated value and the critical value, then finally conclusion you need to do. Okay.